Welcome to Woodturning. It's the holiday season and everybody likes to party, so why not make a Tipsy Tree?
Tim's American Beauty was made by Robust Tools, America's premier lathe manufacturer. Robust. Built to turn wood. Enjoyed for a lifetime.
Easy Wood Tools, best in class carbide wood turning tools. So we are going to be working with a 4" by 4" by 10" piece of cherry, and I'm just marking the center here because what I want to do is do off-center turning. So before I make those marks, take a look at our Tipsy Trees. So I've seen this one done before on the internet and I really like it. It's off-centered, but you're only leaving one point here and you're off-centering this end, so you're tilting this the whole time. But when you look at it, it's straight across on the bottom, so it's almost like the tree's starting to slide over on itself. And I thought, well, can I make that a little bit different? So I decided to put it off-center on both ends, and as you can see, these angle, and the angle changes on the bottom as well as it does on the top. So I thought that was pretty cool. So the way we want to prepare a blank for that is I'm going to come down here, and I'm going to use my zero-centered ruler I have, and I'm going to go every 1/4 inch, make a mark, make a mark, make a mark. So I have 5 marks including the center. I'm going to turn this over this way without rotating it or spinning it, and I'm going to come over here now, and then I'll try this left-handed. Make a mark, make a mark, make a mark, make a mark. So now we're going to have 4 points here, 5 points here, 5 points there, but they're offset, and that'll help us while we're making this tree. So I've rounded out the blank already, and I mounted it on the 2 center marks I made. So it's just dead center, running straight. And the reason is because I need to make a base for the tree that is straight. If you make the base crooked, I think the whole thing might fall over after a little while. So I'm just taking a parting tool in here. And by the way, I do want to thank our sponsors, Easy Wood Tools and Robust Lathes, because without their support, we wouldn't be here making videos and that wouldn't be any fun. And by the way, I am an authorized Robust dealer, so if you're looking for a lathe, give me a call. This little carbide here is working great for what I'm making. I've got the base where I want to start it, so there we go. So now we're going to make the tree trunk. And just come in here like so. You want to make the tree trunk probably a little bit stout because you don't want it to be very thin on this end, because as you work further out it would cause vibration. That's a good spot. Yeah, let's try that one. Okay, that looks good. Now I'm going to grab my pointed Easy Wood tool and I'm going to come in here and just kind of undercut the bottom here a little bit. And by undercutting the bottom, it'll help us with the visual that when the tree's sitting there, you don't look up under it. You don't have anything coming out. Some of the trees I saw online, the bottom dips down. What? That's not right. So we're going to make it go up and under. So now, we're ready to do the first part of the bottom of the tree, and this is where we start doing a little bit of math. So I'm going to unhook this here, and on this end too, and Brian will see this better, but I'm going to go for hole number, I guess you'd call this 2 because that's 1. I'm going to go that one, and then over here. I turned them away when I cleaned the bottom. I'm going to put the holes back on there then, and then we're going to start on that hole. So we're mounted now with new holes. Anyway, you see it's out around. So I want to make my first section of the tree, and I'm going to make it about 1.5 inches, 1.75 inches. So we're going to turn this on and just make sure you're tight on here. And I'm going to come in here and I'm going to round this edge out because it's crooked now, right? So we're losing some diameter as you do this. I'm also using a bowl gouge because it just seems to cut better in this process. I've got a V-shaped gouge here, so it cuts in there very nicely. So we're going to come in here and start making our shapes. And you get onto solid wood pretty quick. Watch this edge here that you don't get into trouble. So I'm parting in, swing it in like so. Now I'm getting to about the height I want that first segment to be. Make a nice curve like so. And I am not going to be sanding this project today, but if you're going to make one, sand as you do each segment. Because once you move the holes, the blank on the holes is going to be out around again, and then it'll be all jiggly and a problem. So now I'm going to come back with my Easy Wood point tool, and I'm going to undercut this. You can see how there's a curve right there coming that way. We don't want that. Just remember when you're doing this shape and everything, by doing this, your diameter right here is reducing. So don't make this too narrow before you do this step. Yeah, it's such a cool little tool. It just reaches in there and keeps me out of a lot of trouble. I could use a spindle guide for this, and believe me, I tried, and I was getting a catch every 5 seconds. So this is very gentle, and if you're even more worried about that, this comes in a negative rake you could use. So right now I'm not having to do that yet. Okay, so that's one. Get our shape the way we want it. Forward move it. Forward move it. Take a little bit less off there. Forward move it. And move on to the second segment. So, we're mounted again on the next set of holes. One thing you're going to run into, see how we have very little room here, is you keep going, this is going to want to hit here, and it's going to put you further out away from the workpiece. So we're going to turn this on. Stand back a little bit because if it wobbles out, that'd be bad. I'm going to come here and just clean this up. We don't need this wood because this wood will be gone by the time we get to the tiny part of the tree. That's narrow of at that point, so this is not an issue. So once you get that to a comfortable distance, I'm going to take stop the lathe. Okay, and now I can bring my tool rest closer and I'll start working on the second segment. So 1, 2, 3, 4. We'll see how much we have left at the end. Okay, so we've got our great shape going. You see how it moves like that? And one of the steps I have to do is I want to actually cut this off here at an angle, but I need to move this back to almost on center if I can got enough room left here on the wood before I do that. I want to come back here now and thin out this part of the tree to make it look a little bit better. So we'll see if that holds together. Turn it on. Okay, see now it's straight again, so that's cool. So I can come in here and work on the trunk and make it narrower. And then what I want to do too is I want to put some shape on the base here just to pull it back and make it curve. So we're going to make this a little more delicate now. Doesn't take long. And again, if you're sanding, you want to sand after this step. And I'm going to come here like so. Just sweep that in. That looks pretty good. And so I'm going to come in here. Well, we'll try it with this tool first. We're going to come in here and just try to round that edge over. That's working pretty good. Normally I'd pull this with a bowl gouge, but this little point tool has been working for me today. And that's all we're wanting to do. Is just put a little bit of a round edge on it to make it look a little bit nicer. So we're stopping that. Now we're going to go back to this. I'm going to put my center back to where it was. So let's see here. I think that's where I was turning last. I kind of got lost here for a minute. I was moving the last hole back and forth, trying to get this angle a little bit different. I wanted to kind of move a little bit more. So right here, we're going to see how that holds up. Let's see. Nope, that was over here. So this is the fun part about this. So you can adjust these holes any way you want to get what you need. If that sounds right. So that's almost there. So that means I need to go one more this way. Let's see how this looks. Okay, now I'm back on my center there. So we'll come up here. Gonna roll this in like so. Nothing's hitting. We're gonna turn this back on. Yeah, that looks right. Okay, so now what we're gonna do is we're gonna make a shape here like the top of the tree. So now you can hear the vibration because we narrowed that down there. But this is our last cut, so we're not gonna have to worry about it too much. So I wanna leave this part a little bit thick because I'm gonna kinda use sandpaper to sculpt it to make a neat shape. Let's come here. And I'm going at a slower speed right now just to be safe. Okay, so now, see how that looks. Yeah, we're gonna be sanding that. So, if you look at this, Brian can see it, where do we want the tip of the tree to go? Do we want it to kind of slip and come back this way over the top? I don't know, it means I'd cut it this way. If I want it to keep going out, I'd cut it this way. I think I kind of want it to keep going out. So, take this handy dandy little tool somebody gave me a long time ago. Okay, so now we're going to come here and let's see if we want that to come out like that. So we're just going to do a little pull cut here and saw this off. Now remember, we have a steb center on the other end, so it's going to push towards the live center as I do this, so it's going to jam the cutter here in a minute, the blade, and we'll have to just back off the tailstock a bit to finish the cut. Let me loosen this just a little bit. Oops. Loosens it this way. There we go. Okay. Like watching paint dry. But it's well worth it. Watching paint dry. Well, that worked. We'll be sanding that. So after I did this on the sanding disc, I also sanded the bottom, made it nice, excuse me, nice and flat, been eating dust, even with the dust mask on. But anyway, this is just a rough do through. I didn't sand it, didn't put a finish on it or anything, but you get the idea on how to do this. It's really, really cool. Look at that. These things are warped out of their gourds. They really are Tipsy Trees. Well, I hope you enjoyed this project and have a good holiday. Until the next time on Wood Turning, keep turning.
Tim's American Beauty was made by Robust Tools, America's premier lathe manufacturer. Robust. Built to turn wood. Enjoyed for a lifetime.
Easy Wood Tools, best in class carbide wood turning tools.